Hello everyone, I'm Venuka Goyal and welcome to Thursdays with Venuka. So today I'm going to tell you the true story of how my sister and I ended up getting our first tennis lesson. So those of you who follow me on Instagram and on Facebook must have noticed the post about the Australian Open last weekend. So on Sunday, I sat and actually watched a whole tennis match after a long time, and that brought back memories from a long time ago. So when I was a kid, I used to watch tennis on television with my family, and Steffi Graf used to be my favorite tennis player. And my sister and my sister is about 3 years younger to me, and so both of us we decided at some point of time that we want to learn how to play tennis, right? And we went and told our parents about it. So my dad said, okay, fine, let me see what I can do about this. So my father was a faculty member. He's a professor at IIT Bombay. And we used to live on the on-campus faculty accommodation. And the IIT Bombay campus had pretty good sports infrastructure. So this sports infrastructure was actually meant for the students, like the undergraduate and postgraduate students who come to the campus to study. But faculty members and their families were also allowed access to this infrastructure. And in the summer, when a lot of these students were away on their summer break, at that time, sometimes there used to be some sports camps that used to be held in these facilities. And a lot of the school children would attend these sports camps from across the campus. So my sister and I, we ended up learning, swimming and skating and things like that in some of these summer camps. And so my father said that let me find out if there's going to be any, tennis camp anytime in the future, in the future, because IIT Bombay did have, hard courts. They had like tennis courts, and so he said, let me, figure this out. And so he went and talked to Jha sir. Like now Jha sir, as far as I remember, he used to coach the cricket team for the IIT Bombay cricket team for Inter IIT, but he used to play a lot of different sports. I think he used to also teach football, and his son was about our age, and his son used to play tennis. So Jha sir used to teach tennis to his son, right? So he was actually not a bad person to go and talk to about this. And so my father asked him that, is there going to be some tennis camp? My daughters want to learn how to play tennis. So Jha sir said that, no, there is no plan for any tennis camp. But yeah, in principle, my son and I, we go to the tennis court every so often, and I could, in principle, ask your daughters to come over and I could teach them how to play tennis. But, um, that would require a lot of time and effort on my part, and then you're going to have to buy tennis rackets and tennis balls and shoes and all. It's going to be significant investment as far as monetary investment also on your part. And frankly speaking, watching tennis on TV is very, very different from actually learning how to play tennis. Learning how to play tennis is a lot of hard work, and I'm not sure if your kids are going to be up for it. Most probably they will play for a few weeks, then they will get tired of it, and the school year will begin, and they will go back to their lives, and all of that stuff that you will buy for them, it will just go to waste. So I mean, do you really want to do that? That got my father thinking, I guess. And then Jha sir said that, what you can do, I am going to hold a table tennis camp this summer. Yeah, and table tennis bat is not as expensive as a tennis racket, and it's going to be a summer camp, and a lot of the kids are going to attend, and it's not as much physically challenging playing table tennis. Is So why don't you send your daughters to the table tennis camp? So my father said, okay, I'll talk to them. So he told us that, see, yeah, there's no tennis camp that's happening, but there's a table tennis camp this summer. So why don't you attend table tennis camp? We'll think about tennis later. So my sister and I thought that fine, I mean, what can we do? This is the only option we have. Might as well, take it up and see what happens. So we attended the table tennis camp that summer, and we ended up enjoying, and we found out that we are not too bad at table tennis. We're pretty okay. We were okay at playing table tennis, and we enjoy playing table tennis. So at the end of the summer camp, Jha sir asked us, he said that, there are a handful of students who play table tennis throughout the school year, and if you want, you can join that group. You can sign up for those morning table tennis classes. Do you want to do that? So we signed up for those classes. So in those days, school used to start at 9 in the morning. And so we used to, go and play table tennis. Used to go there about 6:30 or 7 in the morning, play table tennis for about an hour or so, come back home, get ready, and go to school. So we did this, we played table tennis for a few months, and then one day Jha sir came and had a little chat with us. He said, what's going on? I found out that there is a tournament, a table tennis tournament in your school, and I found out that you have not registered for that tournament. Why are you doing this? So we were like, we've been playing table tennis only for a few months. We didn't think that, we have learned enough. We thought that, maybe we're not good enough to play at a tournament yet. So, I mean, he was like, what are you even talking about? Like, how will you know how good or bad you are unless you go and compete with other people? The people that you play with here, most of them are anyways guys, and even among girls, there are, age groups and all. So, why don't you just register for the table tennis tournament in your school, and then you will get a sense of how good or bad you are. So we said, fine. We registered for the table tennis tournament, and we found out that we were actually not that bad. Because anyway, in our school, not that many girls used to play sports to begin with. And among the girls used to play, there were very few girls who played table tennis, and among those girls, we were not bad. We were pretty decent actually, and we ended up qualifying for the school table tennis team. And it was a lot of fun. We got to, represent our school in a few tournaments. I remember once my dad drove us all the way to INS Hamla. There was a school there. We played in those matches. We learned a lot. Playing a sport teaches you a lot of things. It teaches, discipline. It teaches you the value of, practice. No matter how talented you are, if you don't hone your skill, it's not, and table tennis, it's a pretty fast game. You need to be quick on your reflexes. You need to have some amount of footwork. It takes some skill. And it was a great experience for us. So by the time we had started learning table tennis anyway, it was the summer before my 8th standard. So in 8th standard and 9th standard, I played table tennis, and my sister also. Like, see, she's a few years younger to me, but we used to many times go to these tournaments together, and it was a lot of fun. So after 2 years of playing table tennis, 10th standard happened, right? Board exams. So we were discouraged from taking part in too many extracurricular activities. And so I spent a lot more time studying in 10th standard than usual. And then after the board exams, again, there was summer vacation. And I was playing table tennis with my sister one day. And Jha sir came up to us and he asked us, are you girls still interested in playing tennis? And we were like, what? You remembered? 3 years after we first approached him to teach us tennis, he finally, volunteered to teach us tennis. He was like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to play tennis. He used to go practice on the tennis courts with his son anyway. So he said, why don't you girls come along? And initially he gave us some of his old tennis rackets to play with. And he said, you can ask your parents to buy new ones later on. And incidentally, sometime later, an uncle of mine who lives in the US, he was going to visit us. And he found out that my sister and I had started playing tennis. And so he bought brand new Prince, tennis rackets all the way from the US, and it was like a dream come true. It was absolutely fantastic, I mean, it was really a lot of fun, and it was a lot of hard work too. Playing tennis is a lot of hard work, all the running around and all, and practicing those shots endlessly. But it was an amazing experience. And few months later, a tournament was announced, and as it turns out, my sister and I were probably the only two girls in my school who actually had some experience playing tennis. We, by default, we ended up becoming our school tennis team, and we represented our school in a tournament, and we ended up winning a few matches. So the tournament was in Bombay, but then we won a few matches, and then we qualified for another tournament that was going to be held in Delhi, and the venue for that tournament was IIT Delhi. And in IIT Bombay, we always played on hard courts. But IIT Delhi, at least in those days, they used to have clay courts. And clay courts, are a lot more difficult to maintain as compared to hard courts. But they used to have those. And that's my only experience of ever having played tennis on a clay court. And it was really quite a lot of fun. It was a great experience. And one of the things, a life lesson, I guess, that I learned from this kind of incident, this experience, was that people are a lot more likely to invest in you if they are confident that you're going to show up, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's true in all walks of life, but be it personal life or professional life, there is value to people who are prone to, coming through on their commitments and being there when they need to be there, showing up when they're expected to show up, and putting in the work that needs to be put in to achieve a particular target. And so, yeah, that's the story of how I learned how to play tennis. That's all for this week. I'll see you again next week. Until then, goodbye.